The night the planes learned our names. The crawl said, "Take cover now." My siren controller flashed fault, and a voice on the EOC patch, one I didn't know yet, said my name like a safe room. "Casey, do not reboot that head. Windfield's inbound. Bring them to the junior high. I'll hold the air for you. Now." I'm Casey Nguyen, 28, outdoor warning siren technician for Cleveland County Emergency Management, which means my office is a ladder truck that smells like lightning and dust, and my job is persuading a ring of aging raid horns to scream on command without choking on the same wind they warn about. I grew up in Moore, where you learn the shape of your crawl space before your times tables, where the May 20th, 2013 scar is a civic birthmark nobody asked for. I keep a nut driver in my back pocket and a first aid kit behind the seat, because on the planes the difference between helpful and in the way is usually a tool. At 5:42 p.m. on an April Thursday, SPC went high risk, and the radar over Grady County started knitting a hook like it had a grudge. My supervisor, Rhodes, texted a 2-word sermon, "Do laps." So I did the circuit. BAE 125 controller at E. The Eastern and Indian Hills siren showed green. Sooner Road flashed a lazy amber and then remembered manners. 12th and telephone ARD. Chirped fine. Santa Fe was sulking but functional. The sky had that bruise color that makes neighbors step onto porches and pretend weather is a spectator sport. At 6:09, NWS Norman went TOR EMERGENCY for a storm with a velocity couplet the color of certainty. Sirens should have auto-fired countywide from the EOC push. Mine did, except the one at 8th and Bryant, a head I'd babied all winter. Its controller spat fault, then comms lost, and the spin motor gave a sick cat sound. The map said people I'd gone to school with still lived inside that circle. The radio said moisture had turned ambition into a short. The crawl on KXOK said, "Take cover now." And the meteorologist I only knew as Hale drew a finger on a green screen like he was underlining my street. I was 5 minutes away. I drove like a person who knows the difference between speed and regret. But the truly shocking part hadn't happened yet. The siren tower at 8th and Bryant stands over a softball diamond like a skinny promise. The wind had started using its outside voice. I popped the cabinet, smelled the ozone and the wet at war, and saw it. The contactors had arced and welded a kiss into something unfriendly. A manual run would cook the motor. A full power cycle might buy me a scream or set the controller on fire. "Cleveland County to Tech 3, Rhodes said in my ear. "We've got a TV patch open with NWS and local media. KXOK is riding point. They want to know if we can cover Bryant with adjacent heads for the second activation." I keyed my shoulder mic. "Tech 3 on Bryant, head fault. I can jump the rotator and force a fixed blast." I did the math out loud for anyone who likes liability. If I run it static, we'll cover a wedge west and miss some east, junior high included. A new voice cut in, radio patched from TV, IFB compression and adrenaline. "Casey? This is Jordan Hale at KXOK. Do not fix it spinning. We've got a hook aiming east of telephone RD, and I need the junior high to be quiet enough to hear staff. Bring people there. I'll hold the crawl on that line and tell them to move. You keep them moving. I'll keep them listening." I'd watched him for years. Storm nights, sweater, sleeves rolled once, that teacher voice that could talk a room into action. Hearing him say my name felt like stepping into shade in July. "Copy, Hale," I said. "I can force a steady and then roll to junior high to herd. Give me 30 seconds of dead air on our block so staff can yell." "Done," he said. "EOC, confirm hold on Bryant grid audio for 30. "Confirmed," Rhodes said. "Casey, after you force it, leave it. Don't be a hero." Too late, I thought, because every person with a toolbox is at least part-time stupid. I bypassed the rotator. Let the compressor own the sky and then closed the cabinet like it owed me rent. I thought sound would be enough, but the wind had teeth and the real work was in the moving. At the junior high, coaches had the voice of God. "Halls!" they yelled, and teenagers turned into human folders. The custodian had keys and a plan. The school resource officer ran traffic like a choreographed anger. Parents tried to arrive, and we told parents to not. In a storm, love becomes complicated math. I grabbed a bullhorn from the front office and did the thing I hate. Became a noise inside a noise. Interior rooms, no windows, cover heads. If you've got a bike helmet, wear it. If you don't, you'll fit just fine under your own arms. A boy with braces asked if the school was going to lift. It's designed to breathe, I said. So are we. In my ear, Hale narrated half the county into safer choices. If you're along Bryant, we're quieting the siren so you can hear staff. You know the drill. Interior, lowest level. Take your shoes. We love you. We want you alive. You'd think calm on TV is performance. It isn't. It's logistics performed in English. Coach Delgado pointed at the cafeteria where 24 kids had turned a rumor into a crowd. They want to wait for parents, she said. Parents are stuck. Okay, I said, and put my face where their eyes were. I get it. Let's make a deal. Go to the boys' locker room now. First parent to arrive, we'll escort them back. That way you get both, safe and together. They went, because the trick is to offer control even when it's fake. Coach's whistle cut through air that already hurt. The lights died to generator. A sound like a train you only hear in movies rode up out of the west. Casey, Hale said in my ear, voice lower, because lower is how you ask fear to be reasonable. Debris signature over 36th. You have 2 minutes. North wall is the windward side. Put everyone on the south hall. Now. Copy, I said, and now became the only tense. We shifted a building like a school of fish. Custodians wedged doors. A kid cried the kind of hiccup cry that's trying to keep up. I handed her a roll of blue tape and asked her to be the hinge inspector. She took the job the way humans do when you tell them they matter. The roar came and then passed like a rumor that runs out of stamina. Roof tiles rattled and then remembered they were attached. The pressure changed and our ears told us we were still here. Wait, don't miss this detail. In the lull, EOC sent a text. Trailer park at Sunnylane. Damage reported. Possible entrapment. Fire en route. PD diverting. All non-essential stay put. It was 2 miles east, outside our school's belly, but within the map of my stupid, helpful heart. Do not, Rhodes said, like a man playing chess with regrets he's already had. Casey, you are not rescue. I know, I said, and I did. But there's a thing you can do that isn't rescue and isn't nothing. It's called talking. Hale, I said into the patch. If you can spare 15 seconds, aim at Sunnylane and say, if you're okay, porch light on. If you're not, blink twice or yell. Fire is close. That helps us triage faster. Done, he said, voice already shaping the sentence that turns panic into a sorting algorithm. On air. Sunnylane, if you can hear me and you are okay, turn your porch light on. If you need help, blink it twice if you can. First responders are on the way. I watched kids sit on hallway floors next to the teachers who have been through more of these than their paychecks suggest. I watched a custodian named Mabel hand out goggles they use for science class to kids who didn't have bike helmets. I watched a boy with a Buzz Lightyear lunchbox offer half his fruit snacks to a girl with a My Little Pony backpack and knew we were going to be okay because children lead when adults copy. I thought we'd earned our quiet, but the storm had written a second act for when steel meets wind and microphones meet blood. Patch to Tech 3, Rhodes said. We just lost comms to Sooner Ord Head. Possible strike. Also, Fire wants you at the junior high lot to help stage a transfer from a pickup. They've got a laceration and glass in eyes. They're trying to avoid clogging the North Drive. Copy, I said, because lacerations are the universe's way of inviting useful people to stand nearby. Out in the lot under a flickering LED, a man in a torn Carhartt leaned against a F-150 while his partner dabbed blood with a towel that had been a shirt. The man had the kind of calm you get from shock. His partner had the kind of shaking you get from love. Fire rolled in, a medic with saline and the kind of jokes that lower blood pressure stepped down, and the pickup exhaled relief. You okay? The medic asked the partner, which is the question that keeps people from becoming scenery. I keep being, he said, which was either coincidence or the planes inventing a shared language. Casey, Hale said in my ear, Sunnylane responders are on scene. Porch lights worked. They want to thank you on the patch. Tell them to thank the kid in broadcast who can pronounce Indian Hills correctly, I said. He laughed, short and honest. Thunder redrafted the contract overhead. He lowered his voice again, which did something to my pulse I don't plan to apologize for. Are you okay? I keep being, I said, and there it was, a ritual in 2 sentences. The all clear for our block came through, but East still had warnings. A parent stepped into the lot running and fell on the curb hard enough to leave a mark. I moved before my brain had finished the sentence. We got her up, sat her on a wheel, stop, and made room for the paramedic to do the science of kindness. She wanted to run to her daughter, but her ankle had opinions. I handed her my radio. "You can talk to the office," I said. "They'll bring her to you. The distance you think you need, we'll fold it." In the hallway, once the all-clear peeled like a church that refuses to gloat, kids began doing the nervous laugh thing people do when their insides need to shake out. We let them. Coach did roll call and found everybody. The generator gave up, pretending it wasn't excellent. I stepped outside to breathe and to let a stupid lump in my throat decide whether to be salt or air. The storm had split east, reformed south, and TV had switched to the second cell. The sky behind the line did that clean thing it always does. Rublish cities under the same blue that held the argument 10 minutes ago. Wait, don't miss this detail. The sirens fired again with the all-clear tone that sounds like a cousin to relief. The head at 8th and Bryant gave a weak cough. The cabinet's bypass had survived. I drove back to close it properly, and while I was there, a sedan pulled up. A grandmother and a kid stepped out with bike helmets still on, carrying a sheet cake in a tinfoil pan. "For the school," the woman said. "It was for bingo night. It's going to be for tonight instead." She put the cake on my tailgate and patted my arm like she was gossiping with God. The kid looked at the tower like a spaceship and asked if the siren could do songs. "Only one," I said. "And it's the one we listened to." My phone buzzed with a number that was not a number but might as well have been a compass. Jordan Hale. He didn't text first. He called. "Casey?" "Jordan." It felt weird and right to use his first name without the last name gravity. "You still in the chair?" "Producer says I get 3 minutes to pretend my heart rate is normal," he said. "Then we go wall to wall again for the southern cell. Can I ask you a stupid question?" "Always," I said. "Would you—" He sounded suddenly shy, a color I hadn't heard yet. "Would you come by the station after?" "I know that's a loose after. I want us off air, and I want to see your face, not the idea of your face." My answer happened to my mouth without consulting irony. "Here?" I asked. "Me too," he said. And we didn't need to translate. Rehook. I thought the last light would be laughter, but the city had one more proof to file before we were allowed to breathe like regular people. We held at the junior high until the last student found the last parent. We turned the cafeteria into a place for neighbors who didn't want to go home yet, because walls that have just done a job deserve a small party. The sheet cake disappeared in diplomatic squares. Mabel ran the coffee urn like a general. Coaches pretended they hadn't been afraid. The school resource officer told a story about a cat that will never sound true in the retelling. People laughed because the alternative is worse. Fire radioed from Sunnylane. Blink scheme worked. They found an older man who hadn't been yelling because men his age don't know how to say help with their mouths. His porch light had blinked like a stubborn yes. He got oxygen and a blanket and a hand to hold. At 10:17 p.m., the weather stabilized to the kind of vigilance that sleeps with one eye open. EOC released me. I closed the Bryant cabinet with a gratitude that didn't fit under the latch. I drove toward KXOK, a squat building that looks like every local station. That has ever taught a county how to say, "Okay, out." Loud security at the stage door checked my ID, and a producer with a headset and kind eyebrows pointed me to a break, a room that smelled like pizza with trauma. Jordan walked in 2 minutes later, sleeves rolled, tie shoved into a pocket, IFB still looped around his collarbone like a history. In person, he had the same eyes TV had taught me, intelligent, tired, stubbornly alive. He smiled like the end of a shift and the start of a decision. "You came," he said, like we had agreed to test the physics of luck. "I was always going to," I said, like I had any other plan. We didn't kiss. Stations have cameras in dumb places, and tonight had already used up most of our drama budget. We did the forehead thing, one beat under a hallway fluorescent that buzzed like a conscience. It wasn't a secret. It was inventory. It was yes. 2 days later, City of More OK posted a storm recap. Polygon maps, a list of donation sites, a photo of bike helmets lined up like a small army. The last slide was a grainy CCTV still from the junior high vestibule. 2 small figures under a sodium light, one in a county polo with a tool bag, one in a sweater with a station badge, foreheads inclined like men remembering how to land. The caption read, "Small, honest enough." Jordan texted the link, and then, after the pause that counts as both question and answer, "Dinner?" "Always," I wrote. "Good," he said. "Because I am." We ate fried chicken at a place on Portland Ave that understands that storms are better met with grease and grace. He told me about mesos, LCLs, and the time he mispronounced a street name on air and got 27 emails about it. I told him about contactor pitting, rotator belts, and how a siren's voice is a contract a town writes with itself. We didn't make a schedule. We made a rule. When SPC goes enhanced or higher, we text here. When the first hook shows its intentions, we text me too. He keeps a spare IFB foam in my glove box. I keep a Sharpie in his desk drawer. Love, like weather, rewards preparation. Sometimes the safest place isn't underground or cinder block or anywhere the maps color green. Sometimes it's the inch between two foreheads in a break room that smells like pizza, while a control room counts down to top of the hour. Sometimes it's a voice on the patch saying your name like a safe room. I'm here, I tell him when the sky forgets its manners. Me too, he says. And Oklahoma, stubborn and generous and scarred into something like wisdom, lets us try again.